This is Jason Burgos of Cheap Seats and the StickMan podcast. This podcast was originally recorded before the news broke of Jon Jones and his failed drug test. So please enjoy the show in its original format with Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier still as the main event of UFC 200.
Inconceivable! Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
Welcome to the Cheap Seats and StickMan podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is another edition of Cheap Seats and the StickMan podcast. I am that guy, Jason Burgos. He is that guy, Jose Maldonado. And we have another guy, three-way triple threat, Jabari Fields. Jose, say hello. Jabari, say hello.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome back. Thanks for listening.
How's it going? Feels great to be here. First time here. Really comfortable.
Come on in, make yourself at home, grab yourself a drink. Lord knows I got it.
Yep, relax, put your feet up, do it. Put the TV on, whatever. Just, when you're ready to talk, look away from the TV.
Just so y'all know, Jason got on his silk pajamas tonight. So.
I do. It's a special occasion. It really is.
Oh, but of course.
That makes two of us.
Oh!
Hugh Hefner vibe going on in this
Only
place.
Jose is left out. He's in his leopard speed up. Boo.
Hey, you know what? It's special, though. It's special.
All right, everybody. Now, for this podcast, this is going to be unique in that this is our first time that we will have our podcast on PWP Nation. Awesome site. Covers wrestling. Along with that, if you like the intro song, it's the song by Simon Panrucker. His song Treasure Hunt. It's the instrumental version from his Smells Like Rap album. Give it a listen. Really good stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Much love, and hope y'all like that theme song, man. It's been on for a couple of shows now, and I think it's a catchy tune.
I like it.
I like it.
Can't go wrong.
And Jose, the other mentions you want to throw out there for us?
Oh, yeah, of course. And, the show is available on Google Play and on iTunes, so be sure to search on there for us. And also, you can always hit us up on Twitter. Jason is at Cheap Seats Chat, and I'm at StickMan Cinema. Please, we love the feedback. We love to hear from you guys. Anything you want to get us about, sports, movies, anything on your mind, feel free to hit us up. We love hearing from you guys. So
now, this is... wait. Keep on going. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, not at all, man. But, tonight's show, obviously, we're going to be talking about the big UFC 200 card coming up on Saturday night, man.
Can't wait.
For any fans of the UFC knows this is a special occasion, and, longtime fans remember how special UFC 100 was, so I'm sure they're going to be trying to blow that out with 200 coming up. So we got two UFC experts on the hook tonight, and we're going to get their input on each of these cards, and... See what we come up with, man. So, fellas, are y'all ready to get started?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready. I've been ready since they announced the card.
Oh man, let's do this. Get into it.
Alrighty, man. So the first fight that we're gonna talk about tonight, we got T.J. Dillashaw going up against Rafael Asuncao. So
Asuncao. You have to put that
Asuncao
on it there.
Yeah, full disclaimer. One, I'm going to be mispronouncing a lot of these names, so I apologize in advance. And two, if I happen to sound like the hobo down the street begging for change, I'm finding a little bit of a cold, so I apologize in advance for that as well. But please, fellas, let us know, a little bit more about these fighters and how y'all see this fight coming out, man. I
mean, Jabari, you want to take the lead on this one first?
Sure. I mean, I think all right. Going in, I have to say that TJ. I think is going to go away with the win here. He lost the first fight by a split decision.
Yeah. But
that was a whole different TJ. I mean, if you look at this guy now, the angles he's able to create, working with Dwayne Ludwig really helped his game a lot, and which is why he made the move to Denver, Colorado. I mean, I would. If, King Kai, if you watch Dragon Ball Z, if King Kai came down here and was like, hey, I can teach you the Kaioken attack, I'm going to go to King Kai's house and train over there, for a while and learn what I can learn. That's pretty much...
Anime fans are loving the reference right now. Loving it.
Right? I mean, and that's the thing, he gets, criticized for leaving camp. But, I mean, if you look at the fighter he used to be and compared to the fighter he's now, doing, he's I can't say he's unstoppable because Dominic Cruz is in existence, but
Exactly.
against Asensio, who Uriah Faber actually beat a couple of times.
Yeah, which is
I
weird.
have to. Yeah, right. I
MMA mount
have
right
to
there.
give it to him.
I completely agree. I'd honestly, this is one of the fights on the card that I'd really be stunned if TJ doesn't win. I think he's the stronger favorite. Even though he lost, you just said it perfectly. Like he's a completely different guy. Asunsa hasn't fought in almost 2 years. Like that's a long layoff. It's different. He's more of a grappler type, so I think it's almost easier sometimes for a grappler to come back. But
now, Jay, let me ask you though. Now you said Asunsa hasn't fought in about 2 years, but it says here that he's on a 7-fight win streak dating back to 2011. Do you think that'll factor in there?
I mean, it's a thing that for sure matters because with any sport, especially fight sport, confidence is key. But I think the time off has to almost diminish the confidence to an extent. You're confident you're on a winning streak, but I think any fighter would have to wonder, am I still going to be okay 2 years off? Ring rust, even believe it or not. And
Right.
It's something to put into play. But yeah, I agree. I think TJ is going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a stoppage. I would say stoppage second round. What do you think, Jabari?
Yeah, I think the exact same thing. TJ by stoppage.
Yeah, he's just too good. I mean, yeah, he really. I think to me, he's the second best fighter. To Dominic Cruz in the division. I mean, there's some really good fighters, but I mean, I was even on the fence about Dominic Cruz. If he won the fight, but I was even thought it was close. So I mean, he's very well, one of the best in the division. So, yeah, and that's my thoughts on that one. Moving on.
Yeah, so all right, so the next fight we're going to talk about here, we got Johnny Hendricks going up against Kelvin Gastelum. It seems like Hendricks is a former welterweight champ, and it's a make or break fight for two men at a crossroads. So, Jabari, we'll start with you, man. What you think? What are your thoughts on this fight?
I'm gonna go with a wild card pick tonight, and it's gonna be with Kelvin.
Ooh.
I think Kelvin.
Jay, you sound so pleased with that pick, man.
What's up? I think he gets it done. Pulls off the upset. I really like Kelvin Gastelum because I followed him from his Ultimate Fighter career and to now he really every time he stepped in the cage he seemed improved. I mean he lost his last couple of fights against Woodley and Neil Magny, who is, I think Neil Magny, honestly, he surprises everybody he fights, to be honest with you.
Can't sleep on that guy at all.
This guy's amazing when you see this guy. But, I think, Kelvin is a young fighter. He's learned, Hendricks, it was the former champion, but, I think after that loss from Thompson, after his last loss from Thompson, he's at a point in his life where I don't think he's as confident as he was when he was on that tear on his way to the belt.
Yeah.
And riding on that, and then going up against young Lion and Kelvin, I think it's going to be a tough night for Johnny. I'm not saying he can't win, but I think Kelvin pulls it off, and he might submit. I'm getting crazy here.
We're here for let it flow, man.
I'm getting crazy here, but I could see some Kelvin getting his back somehow and submitting, because a lot of wrestlers, a few world wrestlers, sometimes they give up their back, and usually with jiu-jitsu guys know that's some wrestlers will give up their back, and Johnny Hendricks at heart is a wrestler, and he might make that mistake.
This fight was a little tough for me to pick because when you go into the stats and stuff like that, I was surprised. When I look at Gastelum, I feel he's a up-and-coming star. He's one of the guys that are future of the company. But to know that he's 2-2 in his last 4, no shame in who he lost to, and then knowing that Johnny is 2-3 in his last 5 is like, wow, these guys really are at a place where it's kind of make or break for them. Like they really need wins.
Right. Yeah.
And and then also the recent stuff going in that's coming out where they're saying, oh, Hendricks said we sparred together. I got the better of that sparring. It seems like it's bothering Gastelum. Johnny Hendricks has been in some really big fights. He's fought some of the very best fighters in the world. He arguably beat George St. Pierre. Like, he's had such a high level, but I I'm gonna agree with you on the Gastelum pick just because there's a sense to me, and this is why the sport's amazing because you never know. I feel like Hendricks might be on the way down. Like this might be him going backwards. And Gastelum is still young enough that, despite his 2-2 losses, I mean, the losses are to Neil Magny, who is a guy you cannot sleep on, and he's super long, and that's just difficult for some people, and a guy who's fighting for the title right now. So, I'm going to go with Gastelum, and, since you got crazy, I'm going to get crazy, too. I'm going to say Sasha, too. We'll get crazy.
Yes. And this is only the second pick. It's a lot more whole.
Oh, we got plenty of crazy left in the tank, man.
It's 2 more pages worth of craziness.
But that's why the fans love us, man. That's why they love us, man. So,
all right, so I think we're pretty much set on those, and we can move on to another very interesting fight. Oh, okay.
Also, another thing about Gastelum is he has a pretty good chin too.
I mean, they both got, rock heads. I mean, Johnny has he's sitting there with Lawler and took some massive shots and lived to tell the tale. So that's an interesting one. But, I mean, Gastelum, I can see him. He's faster. I think, Johnny Hendricks always has never been the most limber, agile, fast fighter. And that's, for a guy like Gastelum's a very good athlete. So, that could for sure come into play.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up there, Jay. Jason. Let me ask you real quick, and Jabari, you could chime in too. You mentioned Hendricks, some of the big fights that he's fought in. You mentioned, he fought against George St. Pierre, lost against Robbie Lawler, the current welterweight champ, and also to Stephen Thompson, who has a win over Lawler and over Matt Brown. Even though Johnny's might be on his way down, do you think, being that he's been on such a big stage, do you think that'll factor in, and maybe the experience he has over Kelvin might factor into the fight?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, that's why when I was looking at this fight, this is one of a lot of the fights on this card are tough picks, but this one was as tough a pick because, that has to matter. Being in there in the championship round against, to George St. Pierre and Robbie Lawler, that totally means something. The only reason why it's cut down a little bit is because it isn't a title match. It isn't going to go to the championship rounds. It's a 3-round fight, and in those situations, it's more a chance. It's more of a matchup of skill and skill. Like the strategy is cut down because you have to make it count because you have less time. And in that case, I mean, based on where they're at in their careers, it's important to have been in there with great fighters. But when you're on a 2 and 3 in your last 5, and there is some doubt there, it's if this was Johnny Hendricks 2 years ago, I'd be like, oh no, Gastelum's in trouble. But right now, I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing about the big stage, I think it does play it does play a factor, but then again this is UFC 200. Yeah, you know what I mean. So everybody's gonna have that extra sense of jitters in there. It's gonna take the fighters to really get warmed up because it's going to be a new stadium, a bigger arena than MGM, thankfully, and and they're going to be nuts in there. They're going to be nuts. They're going to Brock Lesnar fans are going to be there. So so
Brock coming back. We'll definitely be touching on that later on.
Oh yeah, and I think it's gonna play a factor, but the fact that it's UFC 200. It might not give Johnny Hendricks that much of an advantage.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that. All right, so moving on to the next fight, we get to the ladies, the first ladies fight of the evening. We got Cat Zingano going up against Juliana Pena. Now, if Cat Zingano sounds familiar to anybody out there, of course, she took her one loss against Ronda Rousey, and when Ronda Rousey's in there, it's always a big ticket. So Cat Zingano's on UFC 200. What do you guys think about this ladies fight coming in?
I mean, I'll take this one first.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This one's fascinating because it's Cat Zingano 9-1, the one loss. I mean, she's been in there with Miesha Tate, Ronda, as you mentioned, but she's 34. She's been so inconsistent in her her fight schedule of late because all the different things, like her husband committed suicide, and and there's a lot of things going on in her life. So. 34. This is interesting because we haven't seen the women's division exist long enough to see how age starts to affect a fighter. But you have to figure if you're going to match up with the men's division, the lower you get, the older you get, the harder it gets. And I'm not a huge Juliana Pena fan, and I'm glad to see her in this fight because I've been dying for her to see her in a fight with a top fighter. This is a top fighter. So let's see how for real she is. But she still is very talented. She's a younger fighter. She has more to prove. You know, is Zingano fully in it? Is she going to be capable to go in there? I think she's the more talented fighter. Juliana Pena is a good fighter, but, you know, Kat Zingano is a dangerous striker. She can grapple real good. Like, she's a very, very good fighter. You know, it's a fact. Again, tough pick, and this is what's so fun about cards like this that are so stacked, it's so filled with great fights. It's tough fights to pick. Me personally, I'm gonna go Kat Zingano. I think it's gonna be a very close fight. I see her probably winning a decision. Julia Pena's probably gonna take her down, you know, win a round, maybe get another round close. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a split decision, but I think she'll do enough. She'll maybe stun her at some point. You know, that'll score a lot of points. Maybe she'll damage her. That'll affect the judges. And I'll say, Zingano split decision victory.
Oof. Okay.
That going the distance there, man. And yeah, like I mentioned, you know, Pena's a much younger fighter. She's 8 years younger than Zingano. Jabari, you think if Pena were to pull off this win over Zingano, and with Zingano's history fighting, like Jason mentioned, fighting Tate and fighting Ronda Rousey, do you think Pena throws her name in the hat as a top contender in the ladies division?
Well, Pena, I've been keeping my eye on Pena ever since she won the Ultimate Fighter series, and you know she has a pretty close bond with Miesha Tate, and she kind of had a personal mission, and I would guess I guess you could say like a shared, you know, mission, because you know her relationship with Miesha Tate, but her mission was to seek out Ronda Rousey and defeat her. I was watching an interview with them one day, and Juliana, and Juliana had mentioned that, and ever since that, you know, I mean, just her, you know, tenacity, and she's ferocious in there. So like that's, you know, you don't really not a lot of the female fighters have that, you know, tenacity that she has, and you know, after that, so going back to your question, I think, you know, it definitely, you know, puts her hat in there, but I think. It may even, you know, if the UFC wants to get crazy, like we're getting crazy tonight, you know, I think that win can possibly set her up with, you know, a big fight with a big return fight for Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
That would be pretty awesome. But
sure, man.
I don't think Juliana Pena. Well, I don't have Juliana Pena winning. I do have Kat winning, but winning a tough decision. Unanimous. I mean, you know, split is possible too. But I think, you know, they both have great grappling, and you know, if you look at Kat Zingano's fight with Tate and her fight with Amanda Nunes, you know, on the feet, you know, Nunes stunned her and she knocked her down, and she was, you know, it looked like she was going to stop Kat in the first round. But, you know, Kat Zingano is one tough girl, man.
That's why it's so fun. They're both tough.
And her grappling is her jiu-jitsu is really good too. Amanda Nunes is a brown black belt in BJJ, and she swept her. She had her in a really tight arm bar. She almost tapped too. So I mean, I think the grappling just might, you know, cancel each other out if Kat Zingano isn't the one that's, you know, dominating the grappling. And if it's left on the feet, I could see Kat Zingano stopping Pena in the second round.
Oh yeah, I can believe that. She's that kind of a dangerous fighter. That's very possible. I mean, Pena can be hit. You know, she's not a great defensive striker, but
not at all.
No, but her tenacity, like you mentioned, that's a great word. That's what's so fun about that fight. They're both super tough. No one's gonna back up. And I can see that being like fight of the night candidate kind of. Wow, that's
definitely.
Gonna be a wild
Definitely.
One. It's gonna be crazy. Like this is crazy.
Yeah, we're talking about crazy, man. As loaded as this card is, if that pulls off fight of the night status, man, that's gonna be one hell of a card.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would pay for the prelims.
Yes, the prelims have champions, the former champions on it. It's insane.
It's going to be a big night for UFC, man. Hopefully they deliver on the goods. And, you know, there's no reason to believe that they won't with the talent on hand. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, moving on to the next fight here. We got some of the big boys coming in here. We got Cain Velasquez.
Main card talk, baby.
Oh yeah, man. We're here into the main card, to the big event. And we got Cain Velasquez going up against Travis Brown. One thing I want to mention right off the bat real quick, Cain Velasquez is obviously a big name in the heavyweight division for a bit. What surprised me is that his record's only 13-2. This is a name that I've heard thrown around for a long time, and it's crazy that he only has 15 fights under his belt. What are you guys weighing on this fight here against Travis Brown?
I'll take that because I want to answer that question. I want to take Jose to the learning tree a little bit here.
Oh, please, by all means, enlighten me.
Now, there's actually a great reason why he's so well known in the sport and has so limited fights. And I correct me if I'm wrong, Jabari. I think his third fight he debuted in the UFC, or second. One of his he was already in the UFC by his second or third fight, so which is ungodly. But he was such a top prospect in the sport coming out of AKA. The UFC scooped him up right away. So he's pretty much predominantly his entire career has been fighting in the UFC. So in that term, he's already had like 13 to 12 fights in the UFC already, which is crazy.
Right.
In this fight, this one to me, I just feel. This is one of our easy picks. Travis Brown, I like Travis Brown. Travis Brown's a good fighter. He uses his length good, mostly. Sometimes he can get a little crazy like this, and he can get a little too close than he should, but he uses his length well. He uses his legs kicks well. But that, again, Cain Velasquez and his constant movement and his cardio for days and weeks and months, even in a 3-round fight, the pace he will set is just difficult for anybody. And I think if he's anything like what happened to him after he lost to Junior Dos Santos the last time, just straight up on a mission after that poor showing in Mexico City against Verdum, I think he's going to be on a mission again. He's changed his training style so he can stay healthy now. I think he's on a mission to become, I think, would be the first ever 3-time heavyweight champion. I think he will beat Travis Brown. I don't know if can stop.
Get crazy, Jason. Get crazy. I hear it.
He's gonna hit him with the moonsault. I'll say Travis Brown gets stopped in a second. I think I'll go third. I'll give Travis Brown. I'll give Mr. Ronda Rousey much more credit, and I will say third round. Travis Brown will put up a good fight. He'll do what he can, but the pace will kill him. He'll be gasping for air. Third round, he probably gets stopped. TKO by punches, and Cain, gets back on the winning horse after that tough, loss in Mexico City.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go right on ahead and agree with you.
Whoa, this is crazy. Us agreeing is crazy.
I like Travis Brown also. I like how he, I feel like, after maybe a few fights ago, he kind of, changed his style and added a little more footwork and, utilizing his range like you mentioned. And I liked it. I saw good things from him when he, if he stuck to it. But that fight with Arlovsky, man, is, after seeing that, I think it kind of put the questions back in my head about Travis's, upside. And I think Cain is going to be a little too much for him, especially in 3 rounds. Also, DC, his best friend, is fighting on the card too, so he's going to be hyped up even more.
Mean!
He's going to be hyped up even more. So you got to go with Cain with the finish there.
And
Travis Brown, he'll land some good strikes.
Yeah.
Cain still has to be careful.
Yeah.
He still has to be careful.
That's the big thing about the heavyweight. Same thing applies in boxing, man. That a striker's a striker, and with that much power behind it, it just takes one mistake, and that could change the whole fight, man.
Yeah, the thing with Travis is, Jabari said part. You both guys said part. It's dangerous. He's very dangerous. He has to be taken seriously. But this isn't like your run of the mill heavyweight. Let's be honest. There's a lot of great ones. I'm a big fan of Big Nog. Randy Couture is an old-timer. Cain Velasquez is in the talk of maybe the greatest heavyweight ever. His only losses are really weird, quick, bad luck, just, getting caught by Dos Santos and, gasping for air like 10,000 feet in the mountains in Mexico City and putting on a bad performance against Verdun. Otherwise, this guy's been Brock Lesnar. He's obliterated Dos Santos twice. You know, this was Dos Santos when he was scary. You know, he's beaten up Antonio Silva terribly 2 times. I mean, this guy's fought in the elite. And then while Travis Browne has had some good fights against good fighters, he's thrown up some stinkers against good fighters too. You know,
Right.
Cain Velasquez is just the elite. This honestly, this is like on Dilla's show. I'd be stunned if Travis Browne lost. But you know what? You said it perfectly earlier. This is UFC 200. It just has unpredictable Wild Night written all over it. But I'd be shocked if he lost.
All the more reason to watch, you know?
Exactly.
It's exciting stuff. All right, moving on to the next one here. We got the interim featherweight world title bout. A couple of big names here. We got Jose Aldo going up against Frankie Edgar. Aldo coming off that, of course, shocking knockout to Conor McGregor. Frankie Edgar's a big name. You guys want to flip a coin and see who comes out fighting on this one, man? How you guys see this fight?
I will defer to Jabari on this one because I did the last 2. Take it away.
Alrighty, you know I have to keep the hard jersey.
Yeah, boy.
Hard jersey, and I'm going with Frankie because, I mean, their first fight between Frankie and Jose was one of my favorite fights to watch. But another thing, the main thing about it was close.
Yeah,
it was really, really close, and I think what won Aldo that fight was that Superman kick, and it was that Superman punch he did in the last seconds.
Yeah,
because it landed flush, and then it was flashy. You know what I mean? Frankie backed up a little bit, but this fight here, Frankie is he's a very smart fighter.
Yes.
He's one of the smartest fighters you'll ever watch.
Yeah,
and the thing is, Jose, he took a bad loss, man. He took a horrible knockout, and that
was rough to see, man. Anybody who saw that, anybody who didn't blink and miss it, that was crazy knockout, man.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Frankie, and he's gonna get the job done. And it's not. I'm not even gonna say it's gonna be a really tough fight, but I think Frankie is gonna. He's gonna find a gear and he's gonna cruise in this fight, and I think he might.
Are you gonna get crazy and call a finish? Are you gonna get crazy?
No. I'm not gonna call a finish.
Boo.
I'm not gonna call.
But the fans demand it, man. We want to hear it.
But I'm not gonna call a finish. But I'm gonna say that Frankie really he's gonna give Aldo problems. He's gonna see holes in his game that he saw in the first fight. And you're going to see some good boxing from Frankie.
I mean, what's interesting,
That's what I'm thinking.
I was watching Embedded a few days ago, and Chris Weidman picks Frankie's second round finish. I'm not going to get that crazy.
Oh, wow.
That said,
far be it from Weidman to mince words.
Also, if you can look up Embedded, I think episode 3 for UFC 200, we have child Frankie Edgar's son versus Chris Weidman's son wrestling match. It's fantastic. Watch it.
Let's go.
But
good lord, man.
Now this one's crazy. I mean, this one fascinates me a lot because again, I've been a Frankie Edgar fan for a while now. Like since the Tyson Griffin, the Sean Sherk fights, I've been following all along. When he beat BJ in I think it was Arab Emirates. Was it there? Saudi Arabia, something like that. It was in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
I mean that was an unbelievable
night.
Like the fact that he beat BJ, this is prime BJ, and ever since then, all the tough decisions. Now the thing that's
and he was the first one to take BJ down as well.
Several times.
He was the first one to take BJ down.
And that fight was amazing because, and it happens in so many Frankie fights, and that's why he's amazing, is that you actually see a tide and momentum change in his fights, especially later, and it went from close, he's losing rounds early to just schooling BJ on the feet when BJ was arguably the best boxer in MMA at the time. Mm-hmm. Now, the factor that it's hard for me to factor in because in the end I love Frankie, but in a lot of big fights he's lost. Now, questionable as they are, tough decisions, he just has bad luck in big fights. This may mean he deserves to win. But how do you factor in Jose Aldo's return? I mean, this is a guy who hadn't lost since 2006 and a terrible loss. Like, where is his head? I mean, a lot of people were questioning his desire, like the last couple of years. Is he that serious? Maybe he should just leave the division. Like, if this has ignited and fired him, and now you, instead of talking about, oh, I want to get paid, or I'm going to leave the division, now you hear things from him, I'm not going to retire anytime soon, I'm not going to retire until I fight Conor. Like, if there's a fire been rekindled in a guy who was one of the best fighters on the planet for like the last 5 years, that worries me a little bit. You know,
right?
Because as good as Frankie is, he can be hit. You know, now the thing that's also hugely different, sort of like in a way the Asun Sal versus Dillashaw, the Frankie he fought at 45 was Frankie Edgar's first fight in the weight division. Now he's been, I think this is 4 fights deep. He's beating Uriah Faber. He's beating Cub Swanson. He's beating Chad Menney, like the elite of that division. And he's just like he may be better. I'm surprised, but he's even better at 45. So,
yeah, and that was one thing that stood out to me too. That was his first fight in 145, and I feel like now Frankie he's at a comfortable level. And I think he's gonna, and this is the thing, he's gonna push the pace this time faster than the pace he pushed in that first fight.
Yep, I mean,
I was gonna say, and another thing that's good to factor in for this fight is that Frankie in rematches always does better. Always does better. In the rematches against Gray Maynard, you know, he lost that first fight. The second fight, I believe he won on, you know, points or on strike. He outstruck him. And in the third fight, he knocked him out. Ben Henderson, he lost. The second fight, I really thought he won that fight. I was surprised they called it for Ben. Yeah. But, you know, Frankie, the bottom line is Frankie did much better in that fight. And then, of course, the fights with BJ Penn. Yeah. So, and I want to see Jose Aldo do good. You know, I really do. I love them both, but I've been rocking with Frankie for too long, man, and he deserves his shot at the belt.
And if he becomes only the third guy to ever be a 2-division champion, that's stunning, considering the other two names are, you know, some of the greats ever. And Frankie really is a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. It's just fascinating that this guy is the guy that could do it. And oh man, I don't know who to pick. Like, my heart is with you. My head feels Jose Aldo, and I really, you know, just to be different, just to see what happens, I'm gonna go with Aldo. I'm gonna hope I lose.
You contrarian, you.
I'm gonna hope I am an idiot.
You know, we're probably gonna. I feel like I know who you're gonna go for later in this card. So I mean, you know. It's gonna be some
Stay tuned, folks. There. We're gonna set up an octagon and have them go at it for real here.
So I'm gonna go with Jose. I'm gonna say I'm gonna get crazy. Are you ready for me to get crazy?
I'm still ready for this.
I'm gonna say Jose Aldo, TKO finish 3rd round.
Woo!
I just feel a fire has been lit in this man, and he's a dangerous man. And I love Frankie. I could easily see him winning. When a great all-time fighter has to come back after a tough loss, and you just go through some of the all-time greats, he is an all-timer, and I just feel like he's going to come back. And this isn't like, oh, Anderson Silva coming back from the loss of Weidman later in career. No, this guy's in prime years. He's not an old man. He is in his prime. I mean,
and it's not like dang, I just had his name in my head. What's his? Oh yeah, it's not going to be like Hanan Baral's comeback either.
No, because it wasn't like he was in brutal fights and lost. You know, it just one of those, like kind of like Cain Velasquez to Dos Santos, one of those crazy things, and that's what's tough about this kind of game. You know, you get caught the wrong shot and you lose, you're done. And looking at how Cain Velasquez came back with a vengeance after that, and I think he's in that same class, and I can just see him coming back with a vengeance, and that's unfortunate because I do want to see Frankie take that interim title and fight Conor McGregor in Madison Square Garden because that would be unbelievable. But I'm gonna go Jose on this one.
Oof, man. And I think that's going to be the story of the fight, man, because Aldo, all eyes are going to be on Aldo, like you said, whether he's going to come back with a fire lit underneath him or if he's just going to kind of, you know, fade into obscurity. It'll be interesting stuff to see.
Jose, who would you pick? I know you feel you have a good idea on this a little bit. Who do you think is going to win? Can you be the tiebreaker?
Be the tiebreaker. Honestly, you know, coming from a casual fan's perspective, you know, Aldo obviously was dominant before the McGregor fight. Frankie Edgar is one of the all-time greats. I'm leaning towards Frankie. I think Yeah, I gotta go Frankie on this one, man. I think with this type of a card, being this big of a stage, Frankie's looking to make history. Like you said, being only the third two-time division champ in UFC history. Although that would be the big money fight if Aldo wins, and like you said, goes on to fight McGregor in NYC. I see Frankie, stepping up and cementing his name as one of the all-time greats on the biggest stage of them all.
Jose, you are fired as co-host. Jabari, there is an opening as co-host. Apply within.
No, if Jose goes, I go. We're keeping the hard jersey tonight.
It is, man. Some mutiny on this show. I'm talking about, man. Jabari, welcome to the show, man. Appreciate that.
Glad. Thank you.
All right, so for the next card, now we got the three main fights coming, and there's gonna be some big names thrown out here, starting with the bantamweight world title bout in the ladies division. Man, we got Amanda Nunes challenging Miesha Tate. Big time name there, Miesha Tate. Man, what do you guys think of this fight coming up?
Jabbar, you go. You take this one.
Alrighty. I'm just now. Here's the thing. It should be a great fight, and I always felt Amanda Nunes should have had the title shot against Ronda before Holly Holm got it. Yeah. Even though Holly Holm won. But I really felt Amanda was deserving. I think she was like on a 4-fight win streak at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, if Miesha Tate wins, it's because she makes it out of the first 2 rounds.
Interesting. I like
that. That's what I'm going to say, because Nunes, she doesn't have the gas tank. But when she comes out, those first round, her striking is really crisp. It's powerful. She's been training at ATT with our boy Robbie Lawler. And the big guys down there. So I'm really interested to see how this smooths her stand up a little bit more. I really love her Muay Thai techniques, but I feel like she can add a little more technical box in there. And Miesha Tate, she's got really good timing, and Miesha Tate is a very smart fighter. Of course, she's a veteran and the champion.
Yep.
And I love her, man. I love Miesha. So I feel like Miesha can. It's hard to pick exactly who, because I know Nunes could beat her in the first 2 rounds, but then if it goes past the first 2 rounds, Miesha Tate is definitely winning.
Yeah.
Probably stopping her in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'm getting a little too crazy for myself right now.
Whoa, crazy!
Ride that wave, man. Ride it like Miesha got to ride those first 2 rounds, man. Go with it.
So yeah, I think Miesha does survive the wave, and she stops Nunes in the 3rd round.
Wow.
Good Lord.
What do you got? TKO or submission? What do you got?
I'm gonna go with TKO.
Ooh, wow! All right.
Yeah. All right. The referee Yves Levine is gonna have to jump in there, pull her off.
Wow. I mean,
damn, it's gonna get ugly. So, Mr. Burgos, to your side. Counterpoint. What do you think, man?
It's a good fight. Like I'm not as torn on it. I think Jabari made an excellent analysis. That's why he's on the show. That's why I called him and put him on this thing.
we get nobody but the best here, man.
Yes,
that's what we
top notch.
Hey,
that point about the first 2 rounds, I think is excellent. I think that is dead on. Like I can totally see that fight. I can see like Miesha getting in trouble and the crowd's going wild and she's got to survive. And another great point you made is that she's a smart fighter. Now, what's interesting is I've been watching Miesha Tate since she was on Strikeforce, on the Challenger Series, did the women's tournament, beat Marloes Coenen. Like, I never thought of her as a high IQ fighter. I always thought of her kind of as a bulldog, go forward, use her wrestling. But as she's really grown up, she really has become a high IQ fighter, and you saw it in the Holly Holm fight, and that really surprised me. And she's just, Nunes is super talented, but she's not that talent, at least for me, and this is just personally, not that talent that just jumps out at me and makes me go, oh man, that's the one. She's going to be the next superstar. She's going to beat Miesha Tate. Like, I feel that, she has enough weaknesses in her game that can be exploited. She's over talented. and I think she can get Misha in trouble. But I think Misha will be smart. She'll grind it out. She'll wrestle. She'll, now you can't use MMA math, but the fact that she was in her Holly home and held her own competently and didn't get in bad trouble, I think she's smart enough to stay out of danger in Nunes. I don't know if I get crazy and say a stoppage. Mm. You know what? Let's get crazy. Let's get out of control.
Why not?
Fourth round stoppage. I'm gonna go fourth round. I'm gonna give Nunes 4 rounds, and I think. Misha Tate made her name on getting subs early on. She subbed Marloes Coenen when that sub in Marloes Coenen, it's still even subbing her. It's like, what? You sub what? So I'm going to say 4th round submission, something like rear naked choke. She's going to get in trouble and she's going to get the finish. But she will, I think Jabari's dead on. I can see her. She'll be in trouble. She'll have a moment where it's like, oh, no.
Oh, shit on. Yeah.
Just like that, exactly, verbatim. That's how it's gonna go down.
I mean, what about you, Jose? Oh no, it's not a tiebreaker. Sorry, maybe you can round tiebreak. Maybe you could decision tiebreak for us.
But yeah, just to throw my hat into the ring, I'm with you on this one. I think Misha's gonna take it. Misha's on a mission to prove that she's the top female in the UFC, with Ronda losing to Holly, and then Misha taking the title from Holly. Even though Misha got 2 losses against Ronda. So let me ask you guys a little bonus round here. Let's get hypothetical.
Ooh.
All right.
Ooh.
Let's say Misha wins, as we all predicted here.
Mm-hmm.
Ronda wins her comeback fight against whoever it is they set it up with. She gets in the ring with, she gets in the octagon with Misha, the big match the big money match that everybody's looking for. Do you think Ronda has what it takes to get back to the top of the mountain, or at this point in the game, do you think Misha has what it takes to kind of hold her off?
Jabari, you could take this one. I gotta still think about it.
I mean, I'll almost not stop you, but I'll tell you that if Misha wins, I mean, why not just include Ronda immediately? You know what I mean? I mean, because that's what seems what's running the UFC is these big money fights, and
that's definitely big money. The fans want to see that.
Yeah, and I feel like the fans will want to see Ronda versus Tate 3 a little more than Tate Home 2. I mean, I would love to see Tate Home 2. Don't get me wrong, but I think if there's a time for Misha Tate to beat Ronda Rousey, it's like right now.
Yeah,
it's right now.
I agree. I mean, if you would have asked me a year ago, I'd be like, oh, God, no, she's going to throw around again and make a fool of her, But the fact that she has shown of late that she can come in with a strategy, I felt after watching the second fight, even though I felt Ronda dominated her, if Misha was smart enough not to grab on her and just try to make it a standing fight.
Out, right?
Yeah, she could have it would have been a lot different, but she chose to go to her like a wrestling roots and actually touch Ronda without the end of her fist, and she got in trouble. The second time around, I think she would do that, and all of a sudden, as bad as Ronda looked, now that's what off topic, but I'm fascinated to see Ronda come back from, because is her striking as I won't go as far as terrible, but as troubled as it is, or did she really get hurt early in that fight and was just completely discombobulated? Maybe she comes back and fights Misha, and her striking is capable, and she still just throws her around. But yeah, I the way things are right now, yeah, I think Misha could probably beat her. And Jabari's dead on. They would probably just make Ronda Misha 3 straight away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that.
I mean, the Garden coming to the Garden. Oh, come on!
That'd be big.
They can't resist that. We're getting crazy tonight, guys. We're getting crazy tonight.
and even you're absolutely right. Even with the setup fight, if they do set up Ronda with a comeback fight to get to Misha, they risk Ronda losing again, and they're just completely wiping out that big money. So that's a good point, Joe. That's why y'all the experts on this show, and I'm just here, freaking holding the papers and running the thing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, fellas, we got big names coming up here, man.
Yes.
We're here with the big surprise was the big announcement of the return of the Beast Brock Lesnar to the UFC. One night only, at least that's what it seems like. Going up against Mark Hunt, who has talked a big game to his credit ever since the fight was announced. He's not backing down from Brock. He's throwing some allegations out there. I'm sure you do, man. So let's get to it, man. Brock versus Mark Hunt.
Let me direct this straight to Mr. Mark Hunt. Mr. Mark Hunt, Brock Lesnar has never tested positive for any steroids. You want to talk this trash? He's never tested positive, buddy. But anyway, Now back to Brock. Now this is the part of the show where my heart will constantly be in my throat, and I will be nervous on the edge of my seat, and there will be screaming, or there may be tears. There's a good chance there will be tears in the next two fights for me. But I'm surprised at Mark Hunt, and he's talking a lot more than Mark Hunt usually do, which is interesting. Is Mark Hunt talking because he's that fired up? He wants to prove something. He's just like maybe never liked Brock Lesnar all the time. We don't know, and he's just gonna put on a show. Very possible. Or is he kind of just in his own head and feels maybe almost disrespected that he's been given Brock Lesnar? And does this fuel Brock Lesnar on a level? Because the last time someone pissed off Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir got yelled at in his face after he was pummeled and, disfigured. So this is a fight that's much more tailor-made for Brock Lesnar than even his last couple opponents were. That said, Mark Hunt, for all his record, he is a much more talented and effective takedown wrestler in terms of avoiding takedowns. Now, that said again, I'm going to double down. He's never been in the ring with a guy like Brock Lesnar. If I know Brock Lesnar, for a lot of people that might be listening to us and they haven't seen him, he left UFC and they aren't watching the WWE, haven't seen what he can do. And they probably think, oh, he's 5 years removed. He's old. He's slow. If you watch a WWE show, he is still the freakish athlete he's always been. Nothing has changed. He's an animal. He's never been. Mark has never been in there with a guy that fast, that strong, that agile for his size. Mark Hunt is completely capable of putting a right hand on his chin and making him go to sleep, walk-off style, number 4, 5, whatever, how many he's had of these. But Brock is the type of athlete, he's got length, he can use his length a little bit, and he's so fast. I know Mark Hunt's takedown defense is better, but it's not, this isn't Junior Dos Santos level takedown defense. Brock is fast enough and strong enough to get in there quick on him, and I think we can all agree, if that fight gets to the floor, I just don't think Mark Hunt's getting back up.
No.
So the question is, can he get back up? I mean, is it impossible he can get back up? No. I mean, he got back up. He got up on other people. He's much better, but I don't know. I'm going to get crazy, and because I'm crazy with my heart, I'm going to pick Brock. He's probably going to lose. But I'm going to pick Brock. I'm going to pick
Brock. Never know, man. You never know.
I gotta pick
Brock. Never know. It's heavyweight division, baby.
Yeah, and you know what? He floored, and I'm doing a story on Brock Lesnar. Look on lastwordonsports.com. There will be 2 stories on Brock Lesnar and his 8 fights before this one coming out, Plug City. But he did floor Heath Herring, who was a better striker than him. He did floor Randy Couture, who's a better striker than him. That length, if he can set things up right, is to be respected, and he's strong enough. But I'll pick Brock Lesnar, second round, TKO stoppage. Here's hoping, fingers crossed. I'm probably going to be wrong. Now, Jabari, tell me how I'm going to be wrong.
Well, I mean, it would be great to see Brock Lesnar win. Get his hand raised, probably say something crazy afterwards.
Yeah.
Wow.
What he lives for.
But man, I'm sorry to bust your bubble, Jason. I'm sorry. And I think you saw it coming, though. I think I don't feel too bad because I feel deep down in your heart.
Yes.
that Mark Hunt is probably gonna take the W on this one. The referee's gonna have to get probably Big John. Big John's probably gonna be in there. Maybe Dan.
Oh yeah, you gotta get that there.
They'll probably get in between there and have to pull Mark Hunt off of him. And I think that the thing is, you are right with Brock. Hopefully being able to utilize his range.
Yeah.
I remember in the Cain Velasquez fight, Brock did, he caught Cain with a couple of jabs because he was, actually trying to stand on his feet. He was a champion. Let me try my stand up a little bit.
Yep.
But as soon as he started getting hit,
yes.
He got in that what my coach used to call a oh shit position, where you just get in You cover up your head. You cover up your head with both of your hands and your gloves, and you're just like, "Oh shit, what is going on?
Wait,
What is
Jabari,
going
hold
on?"
on. This will be a clean show. Easy, Jabari. Easy.
Oh,
Hey,
I'm
you know what?
Clean up.
It's an accurate description. Very accurate description.
Whoops.
He said
But,
OS people. He said schnizzle. He didn't say what you
Yeah,
think. He said
ignore the word.
schnizzle.
Yeah,
Schnizzle
right.
position.
Snizzle, come on, guys. But yeah, he got in that position, and once he does that, you can't see what's coming, and when you're fighting a guy, as powerful as Mark Hunt, you need to see exactly where his hands are at all times, and I think that might be the determining factor. Is as soon as he gets hit, it might be over. Now he did come back against Shane Carwin. He did come back against Shane Carwin.
Yeah.
I remember watching that fight, man. That was something to see.
And it was awesome. I mean, it was a heck of a fight.
The fight was over, and he started beating himself up, man.
Yes.
Right. And I think and as soon as he felt the power that he had, Brock covered up and got to the ground, but he persevered and got through it. But I think Mark, you're not going to be able to do that against a guy like Hunt, who goes 5-round wars, 4-round wars. You know what I mean? He's big, but he has a gas tank too.
The crazy thing. Oh yeah, keep it going. Sorry to interrupt.
That's all you got. I was just going to say. So yeah, Mark. I think Mark takes this one.
What do you think?
That's
what round? The first round TKO? KO?
Man, I don't want to play him. I don't want to play Brock like this, But I'll be nice and say, he gets it to the second. Nah, I think that it's going to be over in the first round.
Can't even give him
stutter step right there, hesitation.
Yeah, it's going to be over in the first round. Mark Hunt, it's going to put Brock in some trouble. Brock might get him down though. He might get him down, but I think Mark Hunt will be capable of getting back up.
The thing that
especially if it's early, I think he'll be able to get up somehow.
As a fan of Brock Lesnar for a long time, and I've watched his entire UFC career. And the thing that would be great, even though this is not he's not getting like an 8-week training camp. If there was something coming out like, oh, Brock Lesnar is training with Greg Jackson and Winklejohn. Oh, Brock Lesnar is training with AKA, ATT, any number of well-known camps. I'd be like, oh, wait a minute. He might come with some slight wrinkles, and he doesn't need bigger, just something different because he's in there training with great fighters. But the fact that he only chooses to train with the same guys, Josh Barnett recently said in an interview that he wished he would come train with him because he feels he's still, even now at his age, he's still a well of untapped potential because he is such a freak with that wrestling pedigree.
It's raw talent, man.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, and I get why. He's a kind of, recluse kind of guy. He trusts who he wants to trust and trains who he wants to train with. If he was in there working with some other great fighters, iron sharpening iron to get himself better, I would easily pick him against Mark Hunt just because of that, but I don't think he's coming with any new tools. I hope he does come with new tools. Maybe he pops out a flying knee or he goes with some kind of flying armbar. You never know. But if he's the same guy that's still lost in his last two fights, and we also have to mention he's saying all the right things, but this is a guy that had diverticulitis twice and got kicked in the gut and went down like a sack of bricks against Overeem. How does that factor? I mean, none of us thinks it'll go to the third, which means
that was Overeem though.
It will go to the third now, but yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go with my heart, which is probably the bad pick, but yeah. Jose? What do you think? I mean, you have some investment in this. You've watched Brock for a long time.
Yeah, obviously, I'm to be honest, I'm watching this event for Brock as a casual UFC fan and a hardcore WWE fan. Nothing would please me more than to see Brock go in there and just straight dominate. First round TKO, first round KO, the conquering hero, and all that stuff. Realistically speaking, that's probably not going to happen. But, like you said, Brock is enough of a freakish athlete and has enough power to where, anything can happen. That a snap knockout can happen. But, that's the big intrigue for me, man. This is what Brock brings to the table. He brings in the casual fan that has heard of his exploits with WWE, his previous exploits when, he was in UFC. So people are curious to see, being away from the game for so long, coming back to see how he'll come back. Is he fully healed from diverticulitis? Can he be the dominant heavyweight that he was before? It's going to be real interesting to see, but I'm definitely going with my heart on this one, man. I'd love to see Brock just straight conquer. Gotta call it. Gotta call it.
You're hired again, Jose. I just want to let you know.
Nice.
Yeah, got my job back.
Woo! Promotion.
I mean, it would definitely be. I mean, that's one thing to look out for too. The fact that he is, because I haven't seen him lately in WWE. So what you guys are telling me, it sounds like he's in some tip top shape still.
Yep. Oh
Yeah. Nah, he's a one of a kind type of a draw. They keep him as a special attraction. That's how good he's been doing. He has that aura about him that is just unparalleled. It really is.
I know people.
I mean, I remember back in the day. I remember he did this 5-star press or some, if that's what it's called.
Oh, the shooting star press. Yeah.
Yeah, shooting star press. Yeah. So I mean, this guy, who knows what this guy can do?
I mean, people will scoff at the notion, but I legitimately feel this. He is of the athletes of the last 20 years. Pound for pound, he is up there with a guy like LeBron James. Now, people are probably like, "Oh, LeBron James is like one of the greatest basketball players ever." He is, but for what this man has done, going into a sport, in a business, an entertainment business, which takes a high demand of physicality like professional wrestling, having come from being a Division I national wrestling champion, walking on to a professional football team where they thought he had enough potential to send him to NFL Europe and maybe bring him to the NFL, and had experience in football since high school, to then go into the UFC, go and be a world champion and 4 fights and beat a legend. I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime athlete, and guys like that just don't fade away. So even at 38, years old, 37, he's still that kind of athlete, and that's
right.
what is so intriguing, because I love Mark Hunt. He's not a very good athlete. He's a great fighter. And that's the big difference. And Brock's not a great fighter. What wins out here? The striking or the wrestling? The fighter or the athlete? And this is classic UFC, which is perfect for UFC 200. This is a classic styles clash that even though it probably isn't deserved as a co-main event, it fits so right and it fits so well there.
Oh yeah, no.
Jason, are you trying to make me change my pick or something now?
Maybe. I just throw it out there,
You trying to make me change my pick right now? Because, great points.
Yeah, man, and that's the thing about Brock too. To remind everybody, he got there. You know what I mean? He came into the UFC and he could have easily floundered. I'm sure a lot of people were waiting for him to fall on his face. He made it to the mountaintop. He was world heavyweight champ. You know what I mean? So.
Yep.
Yeah,
an athlete like that always has a fighting chance.
He'll be one of the
speed. That speed. I feel like I won't be surprised if I see some kind of crazy blitz and Mark Hunter's like, oh.
That might be the best thing. And honestly, he might need to do what he did against Kane and just blitz it. But I mean, he will go down as one of the most well-known fighters in UFC history. But he also will be one of the great what-ifs. What if his diverticulitis did not affect him and affect his training and how much he was, fighting? It just will be the great question. What would happen in those 4 years had he not left? Maybe he ends up being like 4-6 and is a flash in the pan and that's it. But if you look at his record, I mean, he fought Frank Mir. Frank Mir, former world champion, in his second fight. All he ever did was fight top of the top guys. Even a guy like Heath Herring, when he fought Heath Herring was a guy who fought Nogueira, Mirko Krokop, Fedor Emelianenko. He had, was a guy who was a brawler, veteran, who had been in with the best, and he even dominated him in his third fight. Like, he's only fought high-level guys from the get-go, and even in his losses, it's only been to the very best. So he's truly one of a kind. I'm just excited to see him fight however long it lasts on Saturday night.
Right.
All right, now let's move to the other fight that's going to make me want to cry at the end.
Yep. All right, fellas, main event time, man, for the light heavyweight title. Daniel Cormier versus Jon Bones Jones. My sentiments exactly on that one, Jason, and we can get to that one in a bit, but want to get you guys' takes on it. I think we already got an idea of where Jason's leaning. But Cormier against Jon Jones, light heavyweight title bout, guys. How do you see it?
I want to hear what Jabari has to say, but I'm very intrigued on this one.
Well, and when I first heard about the fight and the possibilities of everything, I always wondered who would win, and I really started liking Cormier a lot more over the past year and a half or so. And I definitely could appreciate his heart and everything in the first fight and what he did in that first fight. First guy to put Jon Jones in the air like that. And I have to say that I don't think he's going to get it done this time.
No.
I don't think DC is going to get it done this time. I mean, this is the greatest Jon Jones we're talking about here. And he technically is the best fighter of all time so far.
Yeah. Begrudgingly, yes, he probably is.
Yeah, he has the tools, no question.
And I don't see DC getting past his range. I don't see DC getting on the. I don't see Jon Jones letting DC get in that clinch as often as he did in that last fight. You know what I mean? There were a lot of feelings going on, a lot of emotions, and I feel like the first round is probably going to be a bunch of, they're going to go at it like exactly how they did in that first fight. But I think after that, Jon Jones is he's gonna get on his whatever level he has to get to, and he's gonna start to outpoint DC, and DC's just gonna be coming forward the whole time, and I feel like Jon Jones is gonna pick him apart, and he's gonna beat him a lot easier than he did in the first fight.
Wow. Yeah. What do you think? Is he gonna finish him?
Since we're getting crazy,
That's been the theme of the night.
I'm gonna say Jon Jones finishes DC. I'm gonna say Jon Jones finishes DC. I don't know what round, maybe the 4th, 5th. But yeah, if he doesn't finish him, he's gonna beat him very decisively. And it's and I really like DC too, but he's gonna have one of those other sad nights in the locker room again, and in the press conference.
This is one of those coming from the heart kind of things, because I've been a Cormier fan since Strikeforce Challengers. I've seen his very first fights, watching all the way. This is I made a point to a friend. This is sort of gonna be like watching the Mets in the World Series, the Giants in the Super Bowl. I've invested as a fan, for this fight, so this is gonna be a great moment or a big letdown. And I don't like watching the other fight because it's such a disappointing thing to see. And now you made a great point with the reach. The reach is huge, and literally huge. It's 12-inch reach advantage, which is nuts.
Yeah,
it's the biggest 205er ever. The biggest, greatest 205 ever against the smallest, greatest 205 ever. And that's what's so fascinating, and that they have this feud and they have this problem, and they are two of the best that have fought in that division. The thing, and the fan in me really, 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 really wishes Daniel Cormier fought him in the last fight. In his comeback fight, I think Daniel Cormier is dead on. I think he beats that Jon Jones. The putting on the weight, and which clearly was a factor, because now Jon Jones had let it be known he has done no weightlifting for this fight, while he was lifting heavily for the previous fight. So it had an effect on him. Probably slowed him down. The ring rust, debatable or not. I really wish Daniel would have fought that guy. But now that he's not doing the big weights, he's training like he probably always is. He has a fight under his belt. To me, going into that fight, I almost felt like it was gonna mirror on a level, just a fight fan level, Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, and that long layoff. Even though Muhammad Ali's the more talented fighter, it was gonna affect him, and it was gonna be in Frazier's favor. In this case, Daniel Cormier. So the fact that Daniel Cormier is not gonna get that luxury, and he's gonna get a Jon Jones who's warmed up, back on his A game, Yeah, I mean, I want Daniel to win, but I don't think he's going to win. And Randy Couture made comments years ago about it's always harder for the guy who won the rematch because he already knows what to do. He knows, what works. But the other guy, he doesn't know. The other guy can go back to the drawing board and come back with new stuff, and that's something to think about. And I'm fascinated to see Jon Jones finally in a rematch. That is a interesting question. What is he better? I mean, he could be George St. Pierre and Frank Yeager. He could be better, and that's the thing. Now, I want to see what things Daniel Cormier does better. I mean, we were talking fight IQ earlier. This is a fight IQ guy. Both of them really are. And Daniel Cormier, even though he's gotten to the game in such an advanced age, it's because of his IQ. The guy gets better every time. To see him fight Gustafsson, that was very fascinating. Now, the only difference is even though they have similarities in length, and he was able to brutalize Gustafsson in that clinch with the uppercuts, but Gustafsson is not like Jon Jones in the clinch. Jon Jones, you actually do prefer not to clinch with him, really. And, you know, what I also liked about the first fight, trying to make some case for Daniel Cormier, is even though he was a shorter guy, he actually was working a pretty good jab in that first fight and having some success on it, surprisingly. But, you know, the fact that Jon was able to take him down at will, like, it's hard for me racking my brain seeing where and what he can do that can change things. Like, he had some successes. It was a close fight early, and then in those championship rounds, the 4th, 5th round, I mean, his cardio started to fail. You know, also as the body kicks and strikes, you know, again, high IQ for Jon Jones. He comes with a camp that strategy. I'm racking my mind trying to come up with a way. And I'm not going to be like the Brock fight. I'm not going to pick with my heart. I'm going to pick Jon Jones.
Look into your heart.
It's heart. You know, so I'm not going to pick Jon. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Big time. If I am wrong, this will be one of my favorite moments in UFC MMA history, along with Dan Henderson knocking the bloody schnaggets out of Bisping, like, you know, Brock beating Frank. Man, this is going to be one of my highlight love moments, but I won't pick finish. I think it'll go to a decision again. I think you might be right that he makes it look easier. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but yeah, I'm going to go, unfortunately, Jon Jones, unanimous decision. And he's the champion again.
and then it's funny is I'm glad you brought up the Ali and Frazier, because if you look at all the greatest fighters who had rematches, well, I don't want to say greatest, but some of the greatest fighters and great fighters who had rematches. If you look at the Muhammad Ali, the first fight when he fought Frazier, Frazier brought it to him.
Yes,
you know. And then the second fight, Ali developed what he liked to call smart movement, because, you know, he said, you know, running around, dancing, you know, moving like a butterfly is tiring. You know, I can't do that for 15 rounds. So I incorporated smart movement into my game to so he doesn't have to expend so much energy. And then he performed very well that second fight.
Yeah, and rope-a-dope. I mean, just doing those kind of things too.
Yeah, and then you look at, you know, fighters like Sugar Ray Leonard. His rematch with Duran, you know, and the big
no mas.
And then, you know what I mean. And then you look at Floyd Mayweather and Maidana too. You know, it looked like Maidana wasn't even in the ring in the second fight.
Yeah.
And then,
you know, great fighters do adapt. I'll throw one more in there. One of my favorite rematches. I was a big Lennox Lewis fan in his prime, and when he lost the title to Rockman, you know, there was big. Yeah, you know, I mean, there was a big thing about, you know, him not taking the fight seriously. He came back and straight up whooped Rockman, took that title back.
Did. He beat him bad.
Proved to everybody that he was the elite. So yeah, you're right. Some of the great ones do prepare and adapt.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss to you know, not mention that I made this point on Aldo. Why I think Aldo, when he would come back with a fire, and to not think Jon would do the same. You know, I think he will come back with a fire.
See, that's the thing about that one, because I was thinking about that earlier. With, you know, because this is a rematch with Frankie, who always does great in rematch. But this is, you know, he's going up against, it's the greatest featherweight of all time against arguably the greatest lightweight of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so tough, that fight. Don't make me think about it.
I wanna. There's so many fascinating things. I mean, and I think about, like, again, going back to Frazier Ali, I think it would behoove Daniel to come with an aggressive style, maybe not respect him as much, but that's playing into Jon Jones' hands, because he is one of the few fighters in the sport that does use his length pretty well, especially his legs. He uses legs. He does those knee kicks, which make me so mad. I can't stand it. But he's going to do that. He's going to target DC's knees. You know, he's going to go after his knees. He's going to use his length, his boxing good. I mean, I think if it was a straight-up boxing fight, I think Daniel would beat him up. But Jon Jones can incorporate so many things. He's so diverse. He comes with strikes out of nowhere. Like, just the only thing I can say for DC is he needs to. I mean, the one thing I will say in terms of DC for a rematch, but this is the same thing for Jon. You know, with such a freak athlete like Jon Jones, you cannot prepare. I know he's in a great camp with Kane and Luke Rockhold, but you can't prepare for what kind of guy. You have to go in there, and even after the fight, Daniel said he didn't realize how strong he was going to be.
Yeah.
how much does that help? Because again, smart guy. He's gonna come with different things, and Jon Jones you would think comes with different things, but he knows what it will take to win. Like knowing his information, knowing the intel he has, how does he change it? What he still should get close, try to grab him. Like how does he change his clinch? You know, changing levels. How does he set things up? You know, this is so great to watch. Because coming off Brock and Mark Hunt, that's going to be just a fun, wild fight. However it goes, this fight is, you know, MMA human chess at some of its highest levels, and I'm so fascinated to see how it all plays out because they're two of the best fighters on the planet. They don't like each other. They have a history. The title's on the line. UFC 200, one of the greatest cards. It's going to go down in history. You know, if it can set up a trilogy, even better. But I mean, I'm excited. I know I'm gonna have a rough night, but I'm excited either way for that fight.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I mean, and the anticipation for the last year, you know what I mean? I can't wait either, man.
Yeah, it's a fight worthy of closing out the biggest show in UFC history for sure.
I think it's much more worthy of the position. I'm glad things worked out that they did than Nate and McGregor. That fight should not have been the main event of this card. I get it. It's going to be a money grab, but it doesn't deserve the spot. You know, like when Frank and Brock fought their rematch, that was a buildup of a small, you know, unofficial tournament for the heavyweight title at the time. Brock fought Randy. Mir fought Nogueira, the winners fought each other and unified the titles and became undisputed champion. It fit. It was big. It was the heavyweight title. It's the title that matters the most in this sport and in boxing. You know, it fit for the grandeur of a UFC 100. Seeing two of the best fighters on the planet, arguably the very best on the planet, unless you're a Demetrius Johnson fan, fighting in the main event. Great history. This fight, there's very few fights on this company that are more deserving of that spot on this card.
No, definitely. I mean, it's a great. You know, I love the Nate and whole Conor thing, but you know, this is the perfect fight.
All right, since we have a little time, we're almost finished. I'm enjoying this. It's sad to see it end. You know, while we're here, for people that get the chance to listen, you know, hopefully you will listen on Google Play or iTunes or on YouTube. We're available. We have our own channel. Quick pick on the two big main events that will be taking place on Thursday and Friday. Quick thoughts. Who do you think in Alvarez versus Dos Anjos?
Oh, man. I mean, you can't just throw these kind of fights on.
I throw the gauntlet down on you.
Bringing them up, man.
Oh, man. And it's so crazy because I was thinking about the Rafael and Alvarez fight earlier, and I'm like, who the heck wins this fight? I mean, I would love to see Eddie win it, you know, because of, you know, the guy's been around Bellator and all over the circuit. You know what? But it's, you know what? I'm going to go with Eddie Alvarez to win the fight.
Brave man.
I'm going to go with Eddie Alvarez to win this fight by decision.
You know what? I'm not as torn as you. I feel it's Dos Anjos is going to win. I think he can even stop him. I think he's just that much better fighter. And as much as I really like Eddie Alvarez, respect him, when it comes to really big fights, he's very hit or miss. I mean, even going back to, you know, Dream and losing to someone like Shinya Aoki, Chandler, he split those fights. The third fight was really, third fight was really close. He comes in, Donald Cerrone just schools him. The fight against Gilbert Melendez, that was another fight. I think that was the very first Mexico City card. They both gassed, looked terrible in the second round.
Close.
Yeah, I haven't been impressed with Eddie Alvarez in the UFC, and I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a very good fighter. But, I mean, is he a better striker than Dos Anjos at this point? I don't think so. If they get into grappling, I mean, it's a wash. Unless Dos Anjos just comes in underestimating him, I think he'll beat him soundly. Now, saying that, what are your thoughts on Joanna Jędrzejczyk against Claudia Gadelha?
That's a mouthful.
This is.
I know you're a big Jędrzejczyk fan, Jose. I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely, man! I'm rocking the T-shirt as we speak.
Oh, yes.
It's recorded now.
And I'm sure I misspelled the name even on the T-shirt, so it's all good.
Now, this is another tough one too because their first fight was incredibly close. you know, here's the thing now. This year is the year of freaking upsets and shocks and changing belts, changing hands, and crazy podcasts.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna
contributing to. God love it.
I'm going to go with Claudia Gadelha.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
To really grind out a decision and come out, to really grind out a fight and come out with a Miesha Tate-like finish.
Ooh.
Miesha Tate, Holly Holm-like finish.
Wow. Interesting. I mean, I think you are right. I think that it's funny seeing Joanna talking so much trash, and she seems to be seems to be in her own head, and Claudia just is really chill. She seems uber confident, ready to go. Like, the first fight, it was close. I mean, Claudia was able to get takedowns on her, and I mean, Necic is amazing at defending the takedowns, and she was better on the feet. But I could, now that it's a 5-round fight instead of 3. I could see her grinding out a really close one. I mean, it is super close. Both of them are super talented. Joanna's a really fun striker to watch. But I'm going to agree with you. I can see upset central coming up on that one.
Nice. Yeah, that was kind of my heart decision. So I'm going to stick with my heart.
The heart.
Stick bringing out the heart on that one. All right.
Stick with my heart. Don't get me wrong. I am a big fan of Joanna, and she is one of the best. Not female strikers. She's just one of the best strikers in MMA. Period.
Completely agree. She is filthy. It's just fun to watch. But with that said, I mean, I had a great time. This is unbelievable. Talking the UFC, talking fights. Jabari, did you have a great time?
I had an awesome time. I had to get crazy here and there. But
we bring it out of everybody, man. That's what we do.
Jose, even though you got fired and rehired, did you have a good time?
Oh man, it was an emotional roller coaster for me, man. I went from the unemployment line back to the top of the mountain, man. I feel like rock.
I mean, that just warms my heart. But that's it. Hope everybody liked the show. Look us up on Google Play. Look us up on iTunes. YouTube channel, Cheap Seats and the StickMan. Also, look us up on pwpnation.com. We're going to be there soon. You're going to see our podcast there.
And tell your friends. Yeah. Spread the word. Spread the love.
Put the feedback, the comments. Look us up on Twitter. We're there. Good time. Jabari,
Great.
Jose, say goodbye to everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Hey.